welcome to another beautiful episode of the Newspaper Review here on Top TV. And it's my utmost pleasure to welcome you to the program. My name is William Sabule, and right here on the program, in a very short while, we're going to go into the headlines, talking about what the headlines are saying on our papers today across Nigeria. And of course, we'll do that alongside you. So don't forget that you're part of this program. So drop your comments, your reactions on the comment section. And also follow us on all our social media handles. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and also on X, formerly known as Twitter. So connect with us on all of this platform. All right, to do the headlines right here on the program with me is Jennifer one more. You're welcome.
It's my pleasure.
Good to have you as always.
Yeah, good morning.
How have you been?
I'm doing just fine. Of course, it's my birth month. My birthday is by the corner.
Somewhere around the corner, right?
Somewhere around the corner.
Right, we're ready to pop wines for you.
Very well.
I can't
Expensive
wait to-
wines, anyways.
Yes, now we'll try. But then we need to pop wines.
Sure.
Congratulations in advance.
Thank you very much.
All right, back to the newspaper headlines. If you're just seeing this for the first time, please go ahead and subscribe. Turn on the notification key to get notified whenever we come up with a new episode of this program. Let's get into the business of the day. Let's get to the leadership paper for today, the 13th day in the month of September 2023. And right here on the leadership, the very top part of that paper, it reads as headline, U.S. Congress begins impeachment inquiry against Biden. All right, we find that story on page 6. All right, they're back with the President Biden. First was Trump, and now
is Biden of the U.S.
Yes, all right. We move on to other headlines on the leadership. You see here, halt ceding of Adamawa land to Cameroon. Now, reps tell federal government, and page 7 is where that story is. We move downwards. It says UBA grows pre-tax profit by 371% to 404 billion naira in H1. All right, page 7 is where that story is too. Tinubu orders probe of boat mishap in Niger, Adamawa. Page 12 is where the details is. We move on to the headliner on the leadership newspaper. It says here, as schools resume, parents, guardians groan over fee increase amid rising inflation. All right, the writers says fears heighten over possible rise in dropouts out of school children. Why we're increasing fees, school operators. Private school teachers lament low wages, delayed salaries. All right, all the details is on page 4 of the leadership newspaper. Also, we see here UN NEDC to resettle 2.2 million IDPs, and you find that story on page 61 of the leadership. 5,000 feared dead after Libya floods. Well, the reports on the news channels are saying up to 10,000.
Up to 10,000.
And that's a very sad news coming out of Libya. We also see here, Wike probes $600 million garnishing order against FCTA. Page 6 is where details of that story is. Well, Wike is doing his job, and a lot of people are like, oh, he's always on the news. He's always on the news. That's because he's working, and people are talking about his efforts. And of course, we see that probe of $600 million. Yeah, that's a lot of money right there. All right, but let's leave that aside. Let's go to the main story on the leadership newspaper, and that's the story concerning resumption of schools. All right.
Yeah.
If you're a parent, you know that a new term has just begun, and students are beginning to return back to school, both from the tertiary institutions down to the very nursery schools and primary schools. And parents are groaning, according to this headline, says over high increase amid rising inflation. So schools have increased most of their fees. We saw the other day students from Lagos State University also protesting on TV of the high increment from 20,000 naira to 200,000 naira school fees and
yet to be implemented anyway.
Yes, yet to be implemented. But they were complaining. The memo has been passed and notifying students of the increment
and to get ready.
Yes, and students came out in their numbers and protested, and that's for tertiary institutions where you have students that are vocal, that can speak, but down to the primary schools, both the private schools especially, nursery schools, students that are going back, what they are paying now is no longer the same with what they had before, and a lot of parents are complaining. What do you think of that story?
Yes, Mr. Abule, what they are paying now cannot be compared to what they were paying before. You and I know the reason for that. Just before the schools close, I'm talking about the primary and the secondary schools. Let's not go to the tertiary institutions. Let's talk about the primary and the secondary school. They've closed for about 3 months before now. They've had this long break. Before now, when there's long break, the parents are happy. Sometimes they don't even, they'll still at a time send the students to the summer school. But this time around, who wants to send their students to summer school when you know that you are some students will be entering into a new class and you're starting from level 1, starting from books, shoes, in fact, an entirely new look for that word. Where do you start from? Who is to be blamed? I'm not blaming the owners of the schools. The private schools, do I need to blame them? If it's those that are running listers, trying to make the whole thing function properly the way they want, they have to be increased in everything, basically everything, rating from books, everything. So is it their fault? That takes us back to the subsidy removal. That takes us back to the new government. Implementation, I keep saying it, we need so many stuff that have been promised to be implemented under this government. We know that they've celebrated their 100 days in office, but this is part of what Nigerians are going to suffer. Right now, the rate of inflation is about 24.8%, and that is the highest since 2005. Looking at the rate of inflation coming to consumer CPI, you will find out that food and non-alcoholic beverages are at the highest peak. Let's check the students. One child in a family, before he goes to school, will eat. After eating, the lunch box will be packed. After that, in the process of packing the lunch box, you see a parent putting bobo, la casera, whatever. So that was before now. So a parent that has 4 kids, how will she go about it? That means you're spending about how much in a day? What are you gaining?
We've not even spoken about the books.
We've not spoken about the new books. So let us talk about, and these families, they've not eaten. There's going to be there's the increase in dropout. There's going to be an increase in the number of persons dropping out of school this year. Wow. Hope you agree with me. Yes. Lots of persons are training themselves in the higher institution, and there's no employment. Employers are not increasing the salary, but goods and services here and there, their prices are increasing every day. Sure. So the salaries is not increased. So how do the parents feed? Before, if you were 4 going to school, maybe now you only 2 we go to school, so that the other 2 will stay, and maybe next time the other 2. You see, if I'm the one, I will wait. When it's time to write WAEC, I will enroll my kid to go write the WAEC.
Wow.
Then talk of before now that we had some government schemes such as NAPTIP, schemes such as NSIP, the feeding of children in the government schools. Do we say it was helping? Maybe when this parent sends out their words, that is government schools.
Yeah, but then again, a lot, they accused the organizers and the people in charge of that of stealing most of those foods.
Yes, and in so many places in this country today, there are even no government schools. The government schools have been given to churches. The government schools have been turned to IDP camps.
Wow. Sure.
So how do we see to it that a parent that doesn't have the money to put her child in a private school, how do we see that those kids, those children coming from that particular family are educated? Education should be rated as one amongst the top priority in this country. But the government is literally not doing anything about it. They aren't doing anything about it. That's why some countries have the persons that are actually in the education, have some students being paid.
Wow,
our country is not even doing very well. They're not even the empower. Nothing is happening.
Yeah.
Nothing is happening. So we're expecting lots of dropout.
Well, interesting.
And when people drop out, you know what that means. They become nuisance.
Yeah, and these are just some of the ripple effects of, you know, the inflation rates that we're experiencing in the country.
Because the agricultural products are very cost now.
Yeah, that's of course is occasioned by the subsidy removal.
Yes.
And the fact that the federal government has not been able to kind of like, you know, put proper palliatives that will affect, like will go straight to affect the lives of most Nigerians to help alleviate the pressure that Nigerians are going through at this time. So yes.
Let's just go back to when we had UBA. Universal Basic Education, when we had so many policies that were guiding the government educational sector. If those policies were still on ground and being maintained and being carried out properly, to say, parents will be happy. At least on one part, okay, the subsidy has been removed, but this is what we want to do for each family in this Nigeria. Not sharing of 1,000 naira and packs of semovita. What is it going to do?
That's only going to share.
Some children consume more than one pint of gari per meal. And you know how much one pint of gari is in Nigeria.
So
so what is the government doing to curtail this right now? This is the right time. This is the right time.
It's quite sad that, of course, our kids are beginning to also feel the effect of some of the harsh economic realities that we have today. And, you know, parents are the ones bearing the most brunt, especially parents that have to return maybe up to 5 kids back to school. It's not an easy time.
It's not easy at all. Where you
tertiary institutions down to you know, the primary levels of education in Nigeria, a lot of parents are beginning to feel the pain, especially this September, that they had to go back to schools and found out that most of the fees have been increased just because of course, like you rightly said, running cost of most of these institutions, most of these schools have increased ×3, because, I mean, only to keep power within the school environment for most of these private schools, they run generating sets throughout the 6 hours that they're going to be in school. And so how do they maintain that? Either you're buying diesel or fuel, it's still not going to be very cheap for you.
I remember these schools are working hard to maintain their standard.
Let's also look at the fact that we have teachers. If you were paying them 50,000 naira within the last academic session, you have to now review that, because of course they need to feed their families.
The last academic session was about May, June.
So, and now, but they're back from these holidays. They don't expect to be receiving that small money again, because 50,000 naira in today's Nigeria is almost nothing. So you need to also increase their salaries. So no wonder, you know, parents are beginning to cry as regards these increased school fees. I understand from both ends that these are some almost unavoidable circumstances that is in the hands of both the schools and parents that they have to deal with. But we hope that everybody begins to find you know, their foods and somehow balance themselves into the current reality
and accept what we've seen ourselves into.
Yes. All right, we'll move away from the leadership newspaper and let's get into our next story, and that will be the Daily Sun newspaper. And on Daily Sun newspaper for today, the 13th day in the month of September, we see as headline here, Benue government confirms abduction of 10 passengers in bus hijack. You find that story on page 4 of the Daily Sun. We move on to the main headline on the Daily Sun. It says here, fear grieves governors as tribunals shake lawmakers. LP reps sacked in Lagos, Enugu, Kalu, Ofiono, Aban's APC win as party loses seat in Delta. PDP's Ugu wins in Enugu. Judgment against our lawmakers unjust. Mockery of judiciary. That's the Labour Party speaking there. Also, we see stories like Bill Gates Foundation report says new innovations to save 2 million mothers' babies by 2030. Page 57 is where you find details of that story. We also see here Nigeria needs 159 additional aircraft by 2042. Airbus. All right, page 2 is where that story is. And PDP commits to the deepening democracy, decries leaders' low capacity. Page 57 is where you get details. Like Obaseki, Akeredolu sacks deputy governor's media aides. Page 7 is where details of that story is. All right, I'm wondering what's happening to the deputy governors or happening between the deputy governor and the governors of both Ondo and Edo State. It's been dramatic. It's been dramatic, and they're sacking the media aides of their deputies. Well, if you need to get details of those stories, don't forget, you will find that story on page 7. All right, let's move on to the main story here on the Daily Sun. That's where we are going to be discussing on, and that's about the story of the fear that has gripped a lot of governors based off of the fact that, the tribunal has been releasing very shocking, judgments, especially judgments regarding members of the House of Assembly positions, and it has knocked off some Labour Party winners in that election. And of course, we also see here that the Labour Party has said that judgments against their lawmakers are unjust and also a mockery of the judiciary. And I am a bit surprised that they are lamenting, but this is how it works. Election tribunals would, of course, change certain things when they address matters, and then how you defend your case is also very important. But what's your take generally on this happening?
Yes, looking at what has been happening about the let's say especially House of Reps, from the February 25th election and the March 18th election, we found out that the Labour Party had won in about 38 seats, 38 House of Reps seats, and right now, from the look of things, the fear of the judiciary here in Nigeria is the beginning of wisdom. I wouldn't say you and I, let me speak for myself. I have not really been getting the best from the Nigerian judiciary. Yes, I've not really, I don't feel comfortable about the judgment that is coming out from that side. Why? I don't feel comfortable because sometimes in the eyes of persons and in the eyes of the people that are on that area, I'm not a lawyer anyway, but saying things straight. The judiciary here, they are no longer talking about what you saw. At a point, they begin to give you this other side of justice, and you begin to ask yourself, I thought I saw A, so why is it now AB? And that's that. Let us look at what happened in Lagos State. At Ojo, that was August last month. One of the Labour Party winner was also nullified. Another one took place at Etiosa. Now in Abia State, Orji Zokalu also came up to be a winner in one of the judgments, and saying that so many persons from his village voted. So what really happened? So looking at the judgment so far, in some places it seems fair to the people, but to some other persons like the Labour Party have complained bitterly that this is quite unfair. Let's look at Delta State. The Anyocha Kingdom and all that, they are still facing the same issues. They're still facing the same issues. Is either the APC person comes to be on seat or the PDP person takes over. Why is he favoring some particular sides? Why is he not favoring the Labour Party? I'm not speaking for the Labour Party here, but we know that this is politics.
Well, I was going to ask you that. Well, that's what the tribunal is about. So people go there because they feel that, okay, I think there were some hanky-panky games being played here during the election, and I want to get clarification. So I moved it to the tribunal. So that's what the tribunal is about.
Excuse me, Mr. Abule, did you say it's what the tribunal is all about?
Yes.
So let me bring in the case of the Imo State governor right now, Hope Uzodinma, and what happened between him and Emeka Ihedioha that was already on seat. You know, they've had lots of court cases going on and on and on, and it was vividly seen that Emeka Ihedioha was the right man.
But he was sacked
for that seat.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, almost 1.5 years, he was sacked.
And he's not the first. Let's also go back.
So we are saying that the tribunal did the right thing in the case of Imo State.
Let's not forget that they moved from the appeal court to the Supreme Court, and by the time judgment from the Supreme Court was delivered, it didn't favor Emeka Ihedioha. And so, yes, he was removed from office. And same goes for, it happened here in Rivers State too, where Celestine Omeya was, was then elected, and he was in office for about 6 months.
Yes.
And then Amechi's judgment favored the PDP then, and Celestine was sacked from the office. So my point is, there will be changes that will not be convenient for some people.
So they should just accept the changes like that.
Well, if you
hook, line, and sinker.
If you couldn't defend or process your case properly at the court, and the court finds your case not not credible enough, and it was struck out, or declares the other person the winner, you'll be thrown out.
So you mean you actually meaning that there is no cause of alarm? There's no cause for alarm on the side of the governors? Talking about the handshake, the handshake. Let us look at what is happening in Plateau State right now. Of course, the former governor of Plateau State, Lalong, is no longer the governor. He's the minister of let's keep that aside. But do we expect the fears that we're seeing on the faces of these governors?
Lalong is now a minister of labor.
Yes, the fear that we're seeing on the faces of these governors is the fear of the judiciary. It's the fear that this handshake, hope something hanky-panky is not being played.
Well, we're hoping that, if your hands are clean, and
yes, there's no cause to fear. Thank you very much.
People's mandate, why should you be scared?
If you have the people's mandate anyway, you shouldn't be scared. This is the time for the main deal.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the time for the main deal, because so many of those persons have been put on seat forcefully.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so those ones that have, coming through the back door are the ones that are really feeling uncomfortable.
And we're ready to throw you out through the through the front door. Yeah. This time around, we'll take you out through the front door and bring in the right person through the front door.
True. So, we're really fingers crossed, and we're looking at what the tribunal is doing. We're hoping that, yes, but most people are already concerned about the case concerning the presidential election that has, since moved on to the Supreme Court. So we're hoping to see what comes out of that.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take a short break now. Don't go anywhere. We're still reviewing the papers right here on the News Super Review. We'll be right back.
Hey there. Are you looking to record your videos, do your voiceovers, and take your professional pictures? Look no further. With our state-of-the-art newsroom, photography, kitchen for our food content creators, and exclusive children's studio, we certainly can deliver the best studio experience. Our carefully designed studio space can bring your diverse creative content ideas to life. We aim to consistently serve value to our customers far and wide. Come, let Tharv Media give life to your dreams. Tharv Media, a slice of infotainment.
All right, welcome back from that short break. Thank you so much for watching up to this time. We're still reviewing the papers right here on the program. And this time around, we're going to the New Telegraph newspaper for today's the 13th day in the month of September. And right here on the New Telegraph, we see as headline here, hit 123. Nigerians spent 733.92 billion naira on used vehicles imports. Preference for accidented units increases. Interesting. With the very high cost of vehicles these days, I'm not surprised when the headline said preference for accidented units increases. So people don't mind buying the accidented vehicle from the United States, from Canada, and different parts of the world, and then ship it in and begin to find ways of, putting it together. All right,
persons no longer want tear rubbers.
If we can afford it, because these days the brand new vehicles, tear rubbers, we call it in this part of the world, are no longer for the average Nigerian. If there's anyone
If there's
like
anyone
average
afraid.
Nigerian.
Anyways, I'm still wishing for a
rich.
terrible.
All right, let's see what other headlines are saying still on the New Telegraph. It says here, Carlo retains Senate seat, defeats PDP, LP at Tribunal. NUPRC 42 firms emerge successful in Flair Site B. All right, page 2 and 8 is where you get details of that story. Also see here, U.S. House of Reps to open Biden's impeachment inquiry. 9/11, U.S. vows to defend citizens, allies against terrorists.
9/11.
9/11. All right, concerning 9/11, we have this documentary we'll be publishing pretty soon right here on Top TV as regards Osama bin Laden. So if you don't know that story of the biggest homeland attack on U.S. soil, please watch out for that documentary on Osama bin Laden. Make sure you watch and learn about the history regarding that attack right here on Top TV. All right, let's go on to other stories here. We also see Akeredolu sacks deputy governor's aides. Page 29 is where you get details of that story. And right here we see some tribunal judgments contravened established jurisprudence, and that's coming from an LP chieftain, and you find that story on page 5 and 7 of the New Telegraph. We'll move on to the main headline on the New Telegraph. It says here, insecurity, stay at home has ended in Southeast. Stay at home has ended in Southeast. COAS speaking there says Boko Haram activities or the terrorists have been curtailed. 200 churches shut down, 23 pastors killed by bandits in Kaduna in 4 years. Khan also see kidnappers intercept 2 Bedouin bosses, abduct 10 Army Floats Special Forces units. All right, stories on page 2, 3, and 30 of the New Telegraph. Influential people behind illegal mining in Nigeria. Senator says security challenge around it due to humongous proceeds therein. Mining on exclusive list, but federal government not serious about it. Page 3 is where details of the story is. Federal government 60,000 passports backlog cleared within 4 days. All right, page 2 is where that story is. And you see this one too. Floods, 10,000 missing, 2,000 dead as dams burst in Libya. I was shocked by what I saw. Morocco quick. Frantic search for survivors continues as death toll nears 3,000. All right, very sad stories for coming out of Africa. The flood in Libya. That has claimed the lives of over 2,000 people, and also 10,000 people still missing. And that is really alarming. 10,000 people still missing. That's very, very, very sad and alarming. And also in Morocco, in Marrakesh to be precise, we have over 3,000 people confirmed dead, while the search for survivors are still on. Very sad stories around Africa there, and these are due to natural occurrences. And we pray for the families that have lost loved ones to be able to bear this loss. All right.
Thinking of the families that have lost loved ones, that just it just occurred to me now that we lost a young one.
Oh yes,
the musician.
Yes, Mohbad. Right, that's a very sad, very, very, very sad news.
Very sad one.
From the entertainment side of Nigeria.
27 years old.
27-year-old, very promising artist, Mohbad, that died under some very, very unclear circumstances. Just yesterday, the news broke, and a lot of celebrities trooped to their social media pages to express their condolence to the family. I'm glad you brought that up because I was almost forgetting to mention that, and it's been trending since yesterday. We also saw videos of fans of his crying, wailing and rolling on the floor over the loss of such a talent and a young Nigerian artist for that matter. All right, let's move on to the main stories up for discussion on the New Telegraph, and that will be the stay-at-home. That the army is declaring, Chief of Army Staff is declaring that stay-at-home in the southeast has ended, and that Boko Haram activities and other terrorist activities have been curtailed to a reasonable extent. You're smiling. Do you agree with him, though?
This calls me to smile. Do you know why I'm smiling?
No.
At the first point, at the initial point, it wasn't the army that declared a sit-at-home, a stay-at-home. Before I talk about the stay-at-home, let us remember that the cause of the stay-at-home was or is because the IPOB leader, the proscribed IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, who was arrested, let's say rearrested in the year 2021 after he was majorly arrested in 2015, who was rearrested in year 2021 and still in DSS custody right now, was the refusal of his release by the Nigerian government due to some reasons best known to them, because I can't really say the main reasons. In that case, the persons that we have here, some other units were formed where we had the ESN was formed, came up to say, all right, if our leader is not released, we'll be going on a Monday sit at home every week. Supporting that again, when we saw that this led to different ugly activities, police stations were being burnt down, when persons are traveling on the Monday going to the southeast zone, I mean, Enugu, Ebonyi, Abia, Imo, mention it, always experience a sad occurrence. Imagine because of a sit-at-home, an 18-seater bus will be burnt to ashes. Imagine because of the sit-at-home, these boys, these persons with us, come into the market and begin to shoot anyhow. Imagine because of the sit-at-home, some policemen were no longer staying on police uniform. They were scared of their lives. So let's talk about it. We are not hearing a pulse of the sit-at-home from the army leader. Of course, at some point when we heard that Nnamdi Kanu was granted a release, which the Nigerian government didn't support that. This person came out and said, yes, we are no longer having a sit-at-home order. The memo came from the IPOB. But some other persons came out to hijack this particular sit-at-home on those Mondays. Communities that tried to come out, they recorded loss of properties, they recorded loss of lives. So right now in the southeastern communities, they are very scared of their lives. They're not even listening to whomever is talking. Right, we're hearing it from this other Finland man, Simon Ekpa. He's not in the country. But when he gives the law, nobody dares come out. The other time was 2 weeks. We saw what happened at Ebonyi State. Afikpo, we saw how persons' houses were razed down. Persons were killed. I mean, you see your fellow human being murdered, being butchered because of this same sit-at-home. All right, let's see what happens. Now that is coming from the army, we know that here in Nigeria, to some extent, they're still having the fear, they're still respecting the authority that comes from the military. Let us see what happens.
I understand the place of what the army chief is saying when he says that it has ended. He's saying it has ended because he believes that the army has it under control or some sort. But the reality on ground is what I don't agree. I don't think it's entirely true. Yes, we know that the Enugu state governor has done a lot to try to say, okay, people should come out to the markets. They shouldn't be responding to all those kind of negative orders to stay at home. There are businesses that are suffering, that he has given them the backing. He, alongside the security agencies in Enugu state, are going to do all their best to ensure the safety of people in that state. That's the Enugu state governor. He's been doing. It doesn't mean that people have been complying. Just like you rightly said, for the fear of their own lives.
Yes, and fear of the unknown.
Yeah, they've seen a lot of harassment. Yes. And we know what these sit-at-home orders are, graduated to. And that's what a lot of people are scared of. So, yeah, the army chief is saying that it has ended in the southeast, but maybe the IPOB has also said, oh, we are no longer telling people to sit at home. That story is an old story. But people like Simon Ekpa from where he is has been putting out different kinds of orders, and people listen for the fear of being killed, or for a matter that doesn't really concern you. So the fear makes them stay away. Whether the army is on ground, because I traveled to the east recently, and yeah, there was a lot of military presence along the roads and in areas around the southeast. But that is not enough. Are people really relying on the strength of the military to come out and do their businesses? Or they are still afraid? They are even more afraid of the IPOB that doesn't have enough authority like
governing them. Yes.
But then they are even more afraid of those people than the military's presence to help them secure their businesses. So it's such a dicey situation.
Yes.
But we're really hoping that the chief of the army staff is really saying things out of fact. Because he's also saying, we saw in that report where he's saying that Boko Haram activities have been curtailed. Maybe that is true, because the level of attacks coming from the Boko Haram and terrorists around the northern region has kind of like reduced. But we also know of headsmen attack and bandits too along the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway and many places.
And lots of kidnappings.
Yes, right here on this report, we also see where they're saying that people were kidnapped in Benue State in buses and all of that. So it's a very dicey one. We know that the security agencies have a lot on their hands to deal with.
Yeah.
But then, it's not enough to just make a declaration that says,
it is not enough to make a declaration that's going to the chief of army staff.
They should really be up and about these matters so that people can gain confidence in their capacities.
And once more about the sit at home, thinking about it or talking about it, we'll see that just like you've mentioned earlier, these persons fear their leaders more than the army.
Yes, of course.
They fear their leaders more than the Nigerian government itself.
I see that as a mind thing.
Yes. So it will take proper orientation. It will take proper orientation, and also it will take the mighty to bring back tranquility in the east.
I like the fact when you said orientation. That's one part where of course government needs to let them know that, look, you people don't need to be afraid, we are here for you. And the other part is the we are here for you part, where actually the response time to some of these attacks, because it's not when you say the sit at home has ended, people try to come out. But when these attacks are being carried out, when these elements come out of their bush, of their hidings in the bush and begin to attack these market people and residents, the response time of these security agencies, is it good enough? Because if it is good enough, then people will begin to gain confidence in their capabilities and say, okay, yes, all right, we'll call police now, or we'll call the military, they will appear here in the next 10 minutes because their base is not really far from us. But now when you say, oh, don't worry, we're on ground.
We're here for you.
The nearest military base is like maybe 10 kilometers away from where the next village is. And then they say, sit at home. He said the villagers should come out with confidence. That's not going to work. So we need the military to also not enough to say these things. They need to really act and really be on ground to, do the job and have the people.
And we also need the opinion leaders to come in, the traditional rulers.
Traditional rulers that they can come to your palace and kidnap you. You know how many they kidnapped, dealt with for trying to fall on the side of the Nigerian government. So it's a very long story, but we just hope that the Nigerian military and the security agencies are ready to really rise up to the occasion of all of these, endless attacks around the country. All right, that's where we're going to draw the curtains for today. I want to thank you so much, Jennifer, for coming. And to our viewers, thank you for watching up to this time. This has been the Newspaper Review. Don't forget to also drop your comments and the reactions. And of course, also follow us on all our social media handles. We'd love to have you on this platform. Until next time I come your way again, my name is William Sabule, and this has been the Newspaper Review.